Welcome to Show Me Sports Legacies. I'm your host, Jeff Crowley. I'm here tonight with my co-host, Chris Hockenfels. Welcome.
Hello, hello. How we doing?
Just for a split second, when it's playing that music and I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, what's the name of our show again?
What's my name again?
Yeah.
Who's that guy sitting across from me?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So here's a thing that I'm into and I know you're into in a big way, but lately had the opportunity to travel a little bit, see some sporting events. And there's just a lot of stuff in the summertime. People like you that are in education have more time to do these things. And a lot of folks get out and see their kids playing ball, follow that around, and every night you see them and they're coming off the ball field somewhere in North Missouri. But there's just a lot going on. And even though our Royals are really having a horrible, disappointing season, it doesn't detract from all the other things happening. I mean, look at it. You've got the World Cup coming to Kansas City. There's lots of things happening. You just took a road trip. Tell us about that.
We did take a road trip. As we've told our listeners in the past couple of years, my wife and I like to go to the different major league ballparks, some minor league too, but our big goal is to hit all 30 major league ballparks. And we really started this about 10 years ago. We were around 6 or 7. We just happened to make it to, but we thought, well, let's try to do this. There's a lot of people, the goal is to get to all 30, and it takes a while because for us, we have to wait till the summer, of course, when, it's really hot and you gotta travel to some of these. And we hit about 3 new ones a year. And this year we did what's kind of referred to from Stadium Chasers as the Texas two-step, which is to go and see a game in Dallas and then go down to Houston and catch a game in Houston. So that was our weekend. We went and saw the Royals play in Arlington against the Texas Rangers. And then the next day we went down and watched the Houston Astros play the Milwaukee Brewers in Houston and then came home. So it was a lot of fun. Added those 2 parks to our list, which brings us to 19. Looking forward to, now we're waiting until August to hit number 20, which will be in Los Angeles.
Now, how many hours on the road?
We were on the road. We were on the road for 84 hours. That was our entire trip. The 3-day weekend, plus a little bit into the 4th day to drive home. And we were in our truck for 29 and a half of those. So it was a lot of driving. You're probably sleeping another 30. So it's a lot of driving. I love to drive, though. I love to see our country. I love to take different routes. I love to eat at different places. That's kind of the whole experience for me. And so it was a really good time. Now, driving through Dallas and Houston, not fun. Lots of traffic, lots of 5 lanes of interstate going both ways, and you're going about 35 miles an hour, and it's 95 degrees, and you think you're never going to make it. But I guess that's part of the experience.
So the Royals didn't perform that well when you...
In that game, they were down 9-0, ended up losing 9-1, so not great. We've seen them. We know, you're going to go watch the Royals. They're going to win some, lose some.
I don't want to go back to those days in the mid-aughts, the mid-aughts when we were horrible. And I remember Alex Gordon, his one year he was in the minors. I had an opportunity. I was in Springfield, Missouri, and going to a business meeting, and the ballpark was right next to where our business meeting was. They were playing the St. Louis affiliate. And this was back when Wichita had the Royals AA affiliate.
Right, yes.
And Billy Butler, and I wanted to see him, So we had an outing that night, and I walked across the parking lot to the ball field, getting there about the 7th inning. And there were 3 ladies dressed in their Redbird outfits, nice old ladies. They go, "What are you boys doing?" And we explained why we were coming in at the 7th inning. They go, "Well, if you had a sad story, we'd probably let you in without a ticket." And I go, "I'm a Royals fan."
There's your sad
There's
story.
nothing more sad than being a Royals fan in 2006 or whatever that was. And they said, "Oh my goodness, come on in." They said, "Buy a hot dog while you're in there." I said, I will do that. Appreciate it. But I don't want to go back to those days when we have to watch the minor leagues to have any hope about, what the Royals are going to be.
Yeah, it's no fun when your team is struggling and you just think they're going to snap out of it. And these long losing streaks kind of get you out of contention when your expectations you've set the bar for the playoffs. And then you have these 6-game losing streaks or multiple 5-game losing streaks, and you look and you're 14 games under 500 in last place or in 4th place, and boy, that's an uphill climb to try to get to 500 or even think about making the playoffs. But they string a couple things together. It's a long summer, and it's always optimistic until September when you're out of it.
So I was in Texas at the same time you were and got invited to go to the old Byron Nelson CJ Cup, which is in McKinney, Texas. And it was a Sunday. It was a pretty warm day. And we said, where are we going? Left or right? Left takes you to the first 9 holes and right takes you over to the last holes. And I go, well, we're not going to be here for 8 or 9 hours. Let's watch the leaders come through. So we parked ourselves somewhere near the first green and watched the leaders hit into that green, then putt, and then hit off the second tee from where we were standing. So it was a lot of fun. Got to see Scotty Scheffler and people like that. Wyndham Clark came through there, who eventually won the tournament. Just got a feel for that. Bryce wasn't in that on the weekend. He didn't make it to the weekend in that, but he just finished 22nd, tied for 22nd in the Charles Schwab Challenge, which is the old Colonial. Showed well there, and I want to point out that he is doing events back in Missouri, and this Friday, which will be June the 5th. June the 5th, he is making an appearance at a youth tournament in Chillicothe, Missouri.
Wow.
On behalf of BTC Bank, and then an adult tournament in St. Joe on Monday the 8th.
Wow.
So if I get this edited and we get it out, which I'll try to do, before the 5th, and you just find yourself wandering around near Chillicothe or near St. Joe, go see a fabulous PGA Tour golfer from Gallatin, Missouri, who's been on our podcast.
I was just going to say, it's kind of fun saying friend of the podcast.
Absolutely.
We have our own little friends of the podcast now, or former podcast guest, and we've had some really good ones, and he ranks right up there as far as accomplishments and being a professional at the level. Those guys are so good. I've been to one PGA event in St. Louis, and it's just remarkable to see the pros perform at the level they can perform at in front of all those people. You got a great look, because I think the best thing you can do at those is park yourself somewhere and watch them come through, because when you start chasing around the golf course, you're running around more than you're watching. And so sometimes the best thing to do at those is just to park yourself and watch them putt, come into a green and putt, and then tee off at the next hole.
It was great. I also want to point out I've been sucked into a sports documentary called Rafa that came out on Netflix, and it's put out by the company that Greg Grogel, who's been on our podcast.
Friend of the podcast.
And he was actually at the Barcelona world premiere Walking the Red Carpet. So as with the Skydance production of Rafa, it's a 4-part series. It's fascinating. It's just fascinating into a look into the torture, the hard work, the injury, the mental anguish coming just short, and then having to overcome that. Rafael Nadal, it really opens up in this thing in a way that you don't see a world best athlete. They don't show that vulnerable side. They don't show the anxiety. They don't show the things that they go through to perform at the highest level at Wimbledon, at Roland Garros, and places like that. So really recommend that. And that's a big thing, on a big stage. And then the other thing is, I love road food. We've talked about this. And so I've been doing a test, a local test. Okay. So I'm here to say that my winner so far is the Stewartsville Lawson Quick Stop, I think it's called, in Stewartsville.
I know where you're talking about. I've been there many times.
It is Champ's Chicken.
Champ's Chicken is Champ. Oh, I say that. They are Champs.
Champ's was really good. And then I went to Hamilton the other day, and the Food Mart just south of 36 Highway. And I stopped in, and I got one of those rare moments, when you look at what's under the lamp, you think, I might be the last guy eating that particular food today, They might be a little extra generous to get rid of that, So I ordered some cauliflower bites. You like cauliflower bites or those kind of things, but cauliflower bites with some cheese and some bread. And man, they loaded that puppy up as about a pound of cauliflower bites.
What does a pound of cauliflower cost?
I don't know, but I'm just saying for $3.99, it was like a luxury.
As much cauliflower as you want. You have been to Globe Life Field,
yes,
in Dallas for a Rangers game. Have you had the boomstick? Do you know what I'm talking about if I tell you that we tried the boomstick while we were there?
I have not had the boomstick. I did the buffet one time.
The boomstick is a 2-foot, which really I think it's about 2.5-foot chili cheese dog that comes in a container with handles that you can carry around the stadium. And it is, hold your breath here, people that don't like to spend money on food. It is a $40 hot dog. But it was really
Look
good.
at my face, a $40 hot dog.
It was a meal for four at least. It is the biggest hot dog I've ever seen in one piece without being a gimmicky like a 20-foot hot dog. So we tried that. That was one of the crazy food items we tried on our road trip. And because we like to test our ballparks on their food and rate them. And that definitely caught our attention when we saw people carrying it around with handles. It's a big long box you carry on with handles to get to your seat. We didn't even make it to our seat. We stopped at a table and dug in. But we also tried Dave's Hot Chicken. Have you ever had Dave's Hot Chicken in Houston? Very good. It's a chain, but not many around here. I think now there's a couple in Kansas City, but very good. And then of course my favorite In-N-Out Burger in Dallas. When we got into Dallas, that was our first stop. Get a double. So good food. We're just like you guys. A lot of the trip depends on where you eat and what good food you have too.
And sometimes it comes in gas stations.
Yeah, it can.
Connie is not so big on that, but and most people aren't that are sensible people. But if you find yourself in Rome, do as the Romans do. So sometimes you're in a gas station, it's time to eat.
That's right.
And
quick trip makes a living on just that very thing. People are hungry when they go.
Roller food.
Yeah, right.
Love the roller food. Okay, well, tonight we're going to talk about the Chillicothe Mudcats. So just down the road, we've got this thing that people know about, but they don't pay a lot of attention to at times. And then they go, oh, they're still there, that kind of a thing. But this is their 25th anniversary season. And when you think about any kind of event, whether it's a school event or a club event that is sponsored by somebody, it's hard to get something going and keep it going for 25 years because all these events take a lot of hard work, a lot of volunteerism, a lot of local support and sponsorship. And to really have that as a collegiate summer baseball program, about a 6-week season, it's quite an accomplishment, really. And there have been some people come through there that have ended up playing in the major leagues.
Right.
And they've had some good teams.
And local support, I think you hit it when you said local support, but because I know Chillicothe, the town, has some families that welcome in those players and really make it a home for them for 6 weeks because these players don't have a lot of money. They're trying to stay in the game and get noticed and move to the next level. It's a fun league and it still creates promise and hope for these players that want to keep continuing playing baseball. And it provides entertainment for the local community to go out and see a ball game. It's not real expensive. You get to see quality baseball and take your kids and your family out to the ballpark and keep that American tradition going.
Let's put it in perspective. Your $40 hot dog is double the cost of 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, and a soda, and some chips for the opener at the Chillicothe Mudcats. So you can take your whole family for the price of your $40 hot dog.
That is true. That is true.
Good and there she is. Hello.
Hello.
We have been joined by Kayleigh Campbell. We're going to start with you're the new general manager for the Chillicothe Mudcats in their 25th year. You're just a year out of college with a degree in public relations and sports communication. How did you arrive at that? What things did you do through your high school and through the summers and your college years that got you engaged in the world of baseball?
So I grew up pretty much watching baseball and softball with my grandfather. Every time I would go to his house, it would be put on. So that was when I first got introduced. Plus, I played t-ball and softball. And then in high school, I decided to do a choice because everybody in the high school gets a choice to either be at Trenton all day or do the half day at the vocational school there in Chillicothe. And I decided that I was going to do that option and try something new and go do that, which was one of the best decisions that I ever made just because because I went into the hospitality and tourism program and my teacher was actually Janice Schaefer, which is Butch Schaefer's daughter-in-law.
Excellent.
And Butch Schaefer is the president of the Chillicothe Mudcats. So it was one of those things where, like, if I've never decided to go apply for the GRTS, I would have never met Ms. Schaefer, which never allowed me to go job shadow Liz either, because she also helps Steve, who is the owner of the Chillicothe Mudcats, run the team, which allowed me to eventually get connected to Butch Schaefer, which I knew him through my junior and senior year anyways, just because the family connection. But that's how I at least got into baseballs whenever I was able to job shadow, because I realized I was like, you know what, I may not enjoy playing the sports, but I do enjoy what goes on behind the sports, because I've realized the business side of the sports industry is what is the most important thing, because you can't do in the sport. The game is not really able to go on without the people behind it.
We talk about this a lot, that there's a role that everybody plays in sports, especially in North Missouri. I mean, there's parenting, there's fans, there's coaching, there's volunteering, there's covering the events. There is putting those events on. There's working at the venues and keeping the fields and everything in shape so the event can occur. And we love that.
So, Kayleigh, you're a UCM grad. So am I. Go Mules, go Jennies.
As am I.
Hey, all three of us. Hey, and so I'm intrigued to know, after you make this connection in high school at Chillicothe with the Schaefers, when you went to Warrensburg, did that help you? Did it help influence you to pick that public relations and sports marketing as your major, and kind of lead you in that direction with that in mind, or was that already kind of in the back of your mind when you went to college?
So my major, public relations, I have been dead set on that major since 8th grade, but the sports, it really clicked between my senior and freshman year of college. I knew I wanted to be part of the entertainment / sports world altogether, just because I'm a people person, and anything that I can do to help somebody have a better time at whatever they're doing, I enjoy doing that. And I realized I didn't really pick sports as my minor until my sophomore year of college, because I had the opportunity to go back home in between my freshman and sophomore year and go intern with the Chillicothe Mudcats. And that was when I really was like, you know what, I really enjoy this environment. I enjoy how I'm able to bring people into these stadiums. And I grew up with the Chillicothe Mudcats, so I knew what effect they had with the community, and I enjoyed being able to be part of that. So whenever I came back my sophomore year, I officially declared my minor as sports communications, because I was like, that can be at least my focus. And ever since that happened, I kind of just went full-fledged on doing sports.
So I got to ask you a question, because we all start in a place. What's the gruntiest work that you've ever did when you were an intern? I mean, what's the thing that you were like, I never thought I'd be doing this? Is it picking up buckets of balls? Is there an example of something that you thought, boy, I just never thought I'd be at this place, but it's kind of cool?
As an intern, it didn't happen until between my my junior and senior year of college, but it was literally running a tarp across the field. I did not really expect that I would have to go do that. And then because in the Minx League, the boys all did that. And then I went to a different league, and I was like, oh, so I actually have to go participate in this now. And I didn't expect to do this like in the downpouring rain as well, because I was in Western Nebraska. So I was like, this is absolutely crazy. Like, being part of the Minx League, I had to learn how to do all the craziest stuff. But
I don't think you
really got me.
I don't think you've lived until you've tried to get a tarp onto a field when it's raining. I've done that. Trenton softball was one of the first high school teams to have a tarp available. So everybody always wanted to cover the field. Like, oh, rain's coming. We have a tarp. Let's get the tarp down. Who's going to do it? Well, the AD can do it. The AD can round up some dads. So like, there wasn't a tarp crew. I guess the tarp crew was the AD and about 5 or 6 dads that would go out there, and then the park superintendent would help, and we would get the field tarped. But you're right, that's not fun. There's so many things that can go wrong with a tarp. You could write a book.
Yeah, it made things worse because all these players were like above 6 feet, and me and the other female interns were below 5 foot. So we were just trying to make sure we didn't go underneath
and
the
get
tarp.
lost and get lost in the
Yeah.
tarp. Hey,
where's Kayleigh?
Exactly.
I saw her a minute ago. Well, but you
Exactly.
got to earn credibility with that. I mean, once you were out there doing that in the rain, people kind of look at you like, okay, you're one of us. You know, you're willing to do
Honestly.
whatever it takes. That's great.
Really does.
So talk about some of your key duties as general manager. What is a general manager for the Chillicothe Mudcats responsible for?
So I am like the right-hand man or part of the trio with the president and the owner. So I make all the big decisions with them. So I just make sure the umps are getting paid. I go to the yearly. I haven't gone this year because it's my first year, so Butch went in my place. But usually you go to the Mink League meeting that happens every November, December, just so we can start planning and doing the schedules for the summer. In January, there was a few days that we had in our schedule where I had to go out and find teams that we could go against that were non-league games, which was pretty fun. And then I realized how expensive some of these teams are to get to you. I didn't realize you had to pay people to get to you. And apparently everything was so far away from Chillicothe where it was expensive. So I was like, okay. And then my biggest thing was getting with the coaches. So Coach Tyler Hedlow and our assistant coach, Tanner Sears. My job for them was just to make sure they had their roster updated, keeping them all good to go, making sure that we got their phone numbers and emails just so our person who's doing our host families are getting that information as well. So those boys who do need a house or a home for a summer, we were able to bring them in because at the end of the day, these are our communities and we want to show them the awesomeness of Chillicothe and Trenton and Hamilton and all the close-knit towns.
Do you get to help pick out the uniforms?
No, I do not. I got to see it, but the uniforms and doing the shirts and everything else is all operations. Hallie Mayberry, she is an amazing person. She's our operations manager. She has been doing the nitty gritty stuff of everything, just making sure the shirts are there, the uniforms are done, making sure the buses are done, and making sure that our umps are showing up on time and making sure we have balls and everything else. Like she's doing all the nitty gritty stuff while I'm just there making sure that the team and everything else around it goes. But I would like to say Hallie is like a lifesaver because she really is that person that's doing a lot more than I am. I appreciate her so much because I'm just the one getting the information from her and making sure the players are good. We're also the two youngest ones of the board because I'm 23 while Hallie is 18, turning 19. So we are really having that challenge of being young females within a board full of older generations who've been doing this for a hot minute.
Yeah. Hallie has a Trent connection too. She's an NCMC student, I believe.
She is a early education major over there.
And I bet you guys bring a youthful energy to that older group that sometimes is needed to just so you can, relate to the younger generation that's involved in the Mudcats, that's watching the games and that is coming out. And maybe some of those, host families have younger kids and you guys can kind of be the bridge between that older group that's running the show and, the younger generation, because that's always been a key to baseball, especially is passing that through generations. So you have to have another generation come up behind the previous one just to kind of keep it going.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the goal of Hallie and I, is because we are in the age demographic of what a majority of our fans are. So we're able to go out there and be relatable, but also showing the younger audience like, hey, we can do this at this age, so can you? Because I know they were so excited. The board was so excited that Hallie and I said yes, because we all joke all the time saying they're not going to be doing this forever. And our 50th anniversary, they're all like, I'm going to be 6 feet under. And we're all like, and then they're looking at me and Hallie and they're like, well, it looks like you're the one planning the 50th. And we're like, whoa. We haven't even got through the 25th one. But they're pretty excited for us to be there so we can start bringing in more the younger generation into the board so they can officially, I don't want to say retire, but they've all been on the board since 2002 for most of the part. So we're trying to like slowly, I don't want to say replace them, but get more people on the board.
I was just going to point out, Tyler Hudlow, you had mentioned as the manager, was the Mink League Manager of the Year in 2025, and the Mudcats had a 21-18 overall record last year, so I had a really good season. So can you talk about where these kids come from and how they get to Chillicothe, the pathway that's created, how much of it is recruitment, how much is, they find you?
So a big part of it, from what my observation is from at least this year, is a lot of recruiting. Tyler, usually our recruiting starts way before our season, sometimes even ends, just because we got to start looking for the next things. But our head coach, so this year, Tyler, he started back like, say, August, September, October, really went out there, started recruiting, starting talking to players, going like, hey, come to us for the Chillicothe Mudcats. With Tyler having really good stats on his record, that kind of helps him as well, because they're like, well, he's a good coach. So they trust him to come to him and guide them and be able to get the good practices and work on their own stats throughout the year. I would like to say a majority of our players are returners of every single year. There's like Tanner Sears. He is our assistant coach this year, but before this, he played for us every single year for 5 years. And a lot of our players are like that because they love and enjoy Tyler so much, and they love Chillicothe as a whole. They love coming back to us, and they love the experience that we're able to provide them, because I feel like it's the big family community that Trenton and Chillicothe are able to provide them, because some of our players, I would like to say 25 to 30% of them are also from North Central. So they already know the community here. And so between that, they all love the connection that they have with that. So they always come back. And Tyler is a big reason for that. These guys respect him so much, but they love him at the same time, where they want to come back to play for him.
That's great. So I'm going to circle back to the Mink League members to get an idea of the geographic setup for where you travel to and play. So you've got a first-year team in Joplin this year called the Jailbirds, then the St. Joe Mustangs, who've been around for quite a while and pretty dominant team in the league, the Mudcats, the Nevada Griffins, the North Missouri... Nevada, sorry, I should have known. I was going to blow that as I was reading it. Nevada Griffins. North Missouri Natties, a new entry into the league at Kirksville, which is certainly reachable from this location as well for people that listen to our podcast that might be looking for a new experience to support this new team in Kirksville. Clarinda A's that have been around forever, and the Carroll Merchants in both Iowa teams, those last two.
There's a lot of new GMs. So we're all kind of like figuring this out together. I think the only other person I know is Kai, and he's the man that really runs this whole show, and he's doing an amazing job.
Kai is quite the promoter and entertainer, and that franchise, they're kind of like the Yankees of the Mink League, it seems like to me. They draw the biggest crowds. They're a tough out, I'm sure, when it gets time for the playoffs and in the league. I have a lot of respect for what they do over there. Kai was actually the first guy I interviewed for this podcast.
No, I love that. He's such a doll.
And so he is the GM of the St. Joe team, but also the Mink League president.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot of elements to this, and I think that's what I respect about the Mudcats, that you're competitive with not quite the same budget likely, and some built-in good things, but also some tougher things to get people to draw people into your area and play and put together a team. So the continuity with Tyler and the support of the community to be a force in the league pretty consistently is amazing.
And it sounds like it would never work unless you had a manager that kids wanted to come play for, because they're in it for the experience. And boy, if you have a coach that they love to play for that can bring those players to him, then you're kind of ahead of the game.
Yes.
They don't get paid, actually,
Yeah.
but their expenses covered. And then their hope is, and I've seen this on your Facebook page, that some of them get drafted just a year or two after they've been on the field for the Mudcats. I was going to point out something we talked about, and I'm going to hopefully pronounce this right, Nathan Lucas.
He played for the Mudcats, and then he was in the World Series, last year.
Oh, yes. I think the Lucas is the way you say it.
So Nathan was a key player for the Toronto Blue Jays last year in the World Series and later in that season. And this year he has 73 at-bats, hitting .301. And then there was a guy named Caleb Joseph, who was the first one I was aware of that played for the Mudcats in the early years and then ended up playing for the Baltimore Orioles as a catcher against the Royals in the playoffs in 2014. There's some other Mink alums like Ozzie Smith and Chuck Knobloch that played for the Clarinda A's. So it's a pathway and ability to be seen. And we have a guy, and I don't know if you know Mike Arbuckle up here in Trenton, that worked for the Royals and for the Philadelphia Phillies and can walk around with a couple World Series rings for his scouting work and his assistant GM work for those franchises. And he says, if you're good, we'll find you.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's the network of baseball is so expansive, but yet they can find you. And those scouts and those directors of player personnel can find players, whether it's even in the United States or in, Latin America or wherever, they can find you. And so I just have a feeling these players are wanting to keep playing in leagues like this just so they can be out there, just so they can still be playing. And then with that hope, that promise that someone's going to see me, I'm going to get my name out there. And, guys have done it before. It may not be a big percentage, but guys have done it before. They've played here and also played in the major leagues or in college or.
Maybe an odd question, but Kayleigh, in the NIL world, in college athletics, I mean, a kid could come here and kind of blossom and maybe get an offer from a bigger school, a more prominent program within his college career years as well.
Yeah, which has happened. I know whenever I interned for the Sedalia Bombers, whenever they were within the league, there was a couple players that ended up going from the State Fair Community College to one of the bigger schools, to your D2 or D1 school down in Arkansas or Kentucky and all that. Because I would remember being on the bus listening to all of them like, oh, I got this offer. And I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Or they'll tell me about how they all love to tell me about my own university's baseball team too, because UCM has quite a baseball name for themselves too. So I do love to see all the community college boys throughout the summer end up saying, hey, I got offered. I love being able to hear them like, hey, I got offered to like Kentucky University or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, look at y'all go.
And that's different because it was always, if you wanted to get paid to play baseball, you didn't go to college. You went into the draft, you went into the minor leagues, and it may just be, for pennies, but you were getting paid to play. Well, now you can get paid to play in college. You don't necessarily have to go to a minor league, single A or double A to hone your skills. You can get some NIL money to go to Arkansas or Georgia or Mizzou or someplace like that and get paid a little bit there.
Very true, yes.
Let's talk about the community support. How many host families are engaged in this program most years in Chillicothe?
It kind of fluctuates every year just because there's things that happens with each families where some of them drop and some of them return back to us. But, life gets in the way. So it just reflects. We usually try to get at least about like 10 to 15 of them. That may be a stretch just a little bit just because we kind of just go off of how many players that we have and how many people are needing host families, and that's when we end up basing how many host families we need. Some of them return, as I said, but a lot of them, we still have to go out there and search for them, just because at the end of the day, you are opening your home up to a stranger. But usually we end up having a host family for every player, and they end up getting a lovely bonus son, and they all end up loving it by the end of the summer.
I think it's one of the other things about not just having a stranger, but a stranger with with a daily agenda. He has to be a lot of places.
Right.
Oh,
Travel,
yeah.
the hours,
off of the road.
coming in late off the road, right? Yeah, all those crazy things.
Okay, so we're in the 25th season for the Mudcats. Kayleigh, we're all about the merch here at Show Me Sports Legacies, and we love to talk about mascots as well. So come on, give us a lowdown on Muddy the Mudcat and any merch that we're going to see in this 25th year.
So Hallie and I have been working really hard, and Liz, with the logos that are going onto the merch, as well as like the colors of the shirts and everything, because it's our 25th year, so we wanted to change it up just a little bit. I know there's a logo that I made that is getting put on bags. I know there is like a yellow kind of spotted shirt. That kind of sounds bad, but it looks better than we do have that. It's a very special logo this year just because it's 25th as it is. Just made the logo. I was like, let me use my major for a little bit. And it's like, here you go. I helped at least made the logo and got to see it on the bag. And I was like, oh my golly grief. I love that. I was so stoked because I was like, oh, I love it. And I know that that logo is going to get put on so many other things too.
Now, clearly, and if AI is to be believed, today I checked this out. I asked how many teams had Mudcats for their name and mascot, and you're the only one.
I love that.
You're the only one. I think there have been people in the past, but as it stood right now, it was the only one that popped up, was the Chillicothe Mudcats. So I think that's cool. Will you play a game? You played games in Trenton in the past. Is that on the schedule this year?
Yeah, actually, every summer we partner up with the Trenton Parks and Rec. Every July we end up, or June, July, we end up going to go play there. This year we are playing in Trenton July 7th.
July the 7th. You probably play at Burley Grimes, I would suspect, which is the main baseball field. Burley Grimes was an old-time Hall of Famer that lived in Trenton after he finished his career. Played a long time ago coached with Babe Ruth. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, that'll age you, right?
That'll do it. Okay, so July the 7th in Trenton. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got an alumni celebration later in the month of June. Talk about that a little bit.
We do. So for the 25th anniversary, we knew that we wanted to do something big and something memorable and all of that fun jazz. But we knew at the end of the day, the only reason why we made it to 25 years is because of the past players and coaches. So that was like one of the first things we knew that we wanted to do, is bring back all the past coaches, all the past players, to bring them back just for one weekend to have them relive all the good memories and really, truly give them so much appreciation and gratefulness of like, hey, thank you so much for being part of this, that we want to give back to you. So that's pretty much what this whole weekend is for. And then the first day that kicks off this 25th anniversary is that Friday, the 26th, where we are going against the Kansas City Monarchs at 7:05, and this is our old timers game. This allows all of our past players to break out that glove again and play a little ball, just because it's a non-league game, and I know any former baseball player is going to love just to be able to go catch a ball again and just live in the moment.
So true. It is fun.
And see some of the host families probably that, they'll come back and get to visit with the people that opened up their homes to them and are lifelong fans of them. So it sounds like a great event.
Anything else on the calendar that you would want to highlight for the Mudcats in their 25th year?
I would like to say for that weekend, we are giving out a lot of cash prizes. That Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're giving out estimation of $50K. So it's not just going to be $500 worth of giveaways. You could be winning $2K in an inning or even $5K in an inning, because our owner, Steve, he is like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this big and I'm going to do this the right way. So he's pretty stoked. We're hoping that at least these cash prizes can also bring in more people into our bleachers and our audiences. Of course, there's going to be some kind of raffle. We're pretty excited for that, just because who wouldn't want to win like $5K between the 6th and 7th inning? I would be signing up for it if I could. Exactly.
I'm not doing anything, just sitting in the bleachers. I wouldn't mind winning $5K.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, Chris was telling me about the $40 hot dog
Yeah, I had a $40 hot dog one in Texas at the Rangers ballpark. It's called the chili cheese boomstick, and it's like a 2 foot jumbo hot dog with chili cheese, onions, and all that. And I was kind of ashamed that we spent $40 on a hot dog. And then Jeff told me, well, how many people could go to the Mudcats game this week for $40 and get, I think you have a special for the home opener that's 4 seats for $20 plus some other things. And I thought, well, that puts it into perspective.
And they're very valid. Yeah, we have our Pepsi nights that end up happening every so often within the month. So that is what that 4 for 20 is. So you can at least get 8 people in there.
for the boomstick.
For the boomstick.
I think that's a win. That's a win for Chillicothe. And we were talking about this. We love the Royals. We love to go see the Royals, but boy, they've been struggling so much. And I said, what are we going to do this summer? Well, the Mudcats are just down the road, entertaining brand of ball, whether it's in Chillicothe, whether people head over to Kirksville, whether people find themselves in St. Joe and want to go over to Phil Welch and see some of these teams when they're on the road playing over there. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Baseball can be fun, and it's meant to be fun. You don't have to go to a major league game. You can walk up to your local park and watch some 12 and 13-year-olds play and enjoy it just as much with some popcorn and a Coke as you can at the major league game, because it's a game that's kind of universal. You can get enjoyment for at any level, including the Mudcats.
Kayleigh, what would you say to young girls who might not find themselves, hitting fourth in the lineup on the local softball team or those kind of things? What would you say to them about sports and staying engaged with sports as an avenue for a young woman to learn some management, some PR, some relationship skills, and build a career out of that?
Yeah, what I would tell these girls is you can still love the game and still be part of it without being out there on the field. There's so many jobs behind the scenes that are always needing to be filled, and women in sports is growing every single day. And some of these coaches and some of the people that I've talked to just through doing interviews for these minor leagues, they always tell me that women are usually the best ones in sports just because we're there for the job. But there is always a job that you're able to do. So if you like social media and you like sports, there's a job out there with marketing or PR. If you really love people and you love that community engagement, you can go do community relations. Or heck, if you enjoy doing cameras and you want to do a broadcast, go for it. And who knows? Don't ever let these people tell you that a female cannot be a GM of a baseball team in a bigger league. There may be a lot of males in the industry, but you can do it just as well. You just got to show them and get that respect from them.
That's excellent advice. And, we're sitting here doing a podcast, which Chris and I never imagined we would be podcasters. And this is our 46th episode that you're appearing on. So it's fun. And if you love it and you have passion for it, you get better at it over time.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, I don't know. Some days.
Maybe.
Some days.
Hey, before we go, I've got to ask you too. I saw in the notes that you worked at the rec center at Central Missouri while you were in college. Is that by any chance the multi?
Yes, our multi got changed to the Hughes Center.
Okay.
Because, I forgot his first name already.
Jerry Hughes. Yeah, I'm that
yeah.
old. I was there when Jerry was there. Yeah.
He passed away a couple of years ago. And that was like one of the first things, since he was the AD for the longest time, they decided to rename it. But no,
Right. Well, I spent a lot of time in that multi playing basketball and then actually worked there for my last 2 years in college. So very fond of the multi, which is now the Jerry Hughes Center, and spent a lot of time in there playing and working.
I got one last throw-in question, because I know you were kind of a band kid, weren't you, in high school?
I was a band kid. Yep, I was in band for 8 years.
So I just think that's one of the underrated things in high school for kids to get engaged with. And it does expose you to sports, obviously, because you're supporting halftime shows and you're part of that entertainment. Have an opportunity to say anything about how band shaped you if you wanted to.
No, I loved band, and the one man of the hour I will forever be grateful for is Mr. Timothy Gillum. I will forever love that man for the rest of my life. He is literally the only reason why I stayed in band, but he also taught me, like, hey, don't give up on things. So that would be like my biggest thing that I did enjoy about being in band, and also seeing how you can be an athlete as well as being part of band. I would never, if I had to go back into high school again, I would still be in band, still play my instrument. I might have hated it at the time, but I do appreciate it, what it got, like what it taught me, because it really showed me, like, hey, we can be all a team together, but also don't give up, and you can still love music and everything else. And it really just be really helpful whenever you have a great band teacher like Mr. Gillum to help encourage you and everything.
And you are just now a shining example of you can be in band and then be the general manager of a sports team. It is possible. And things that you learn in band, you can translate to a lot of different jobs, whether it's a sports world or business world, or, just anything that you take those values of working hard and trying and never giving up, all those things that Mr. Gillum taught you guys, and he taught a lot of students, you can translate, and it sounds like you've done that.
I tried my best to make sure Mr. Gillum's lessons that he would give all of his students would carry on. And he always said that marching band at least was a sport because we still had to work as a team to make beautiful music and make sure the show went on. So
that's outstanding. And I remember my daughter was in band just ahead of you, and she would complain about how heavy the drums were and how far they had to walk at Carrollton or to Central Methodist, and how hot the uniforms were.
Kind of like putting a tarp on a field, right?
Yeah, it is.
Honestly.
Ranks right there, but Carrollton Band-Aids in the rain is right there next to the tarp, and the things that can be miserable and yet life-building experiences.
Yes.
Congratulations. Kayleigh, I just want to thank you for joining us on Show Me Sports Legacies, and we just wish you and the Mudcats all the best in the season ahead. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to be on the podcast with you guys. I really appreciate it.
Okay, there we have it, Chris. We had our first general manager of a collegiate woodbat summer league baseball team right here in Chillicothe. She's a Trenton girl. There's another girl going to school here, key in operations management. And Kayleigh is doing great things, and Hallie is doing great things, and behind the scenes making it all happen in the 25th year of the Chillicothe Mudcats.
And how cool is it that a 23-year-old and a 19-year-old are kind of blazing a trail for young women to get involved into the sports world? And you don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be on the field to make a big impact on a sport. And they're doing that at the Mink level at Chillicothe with the Mudcats. But who knows where they could go, just like Nathan Lucas can make it to the World Series from the Mudcats. That could be a springboard for their careers. It was very interesting and really exciting to talk to her about her new journey, her new challenge with the Chillicothe Mudcats.
Now, I'm so old that I remember Jim Mudcat Grant, who pitched for the Minnesota Twins. He happened to be the first black major leaguer to win 20 games in the American League and led the Twins to the World Series. Hit a 3-run homer as a pitcher in the World Series. We don't see that happen these days.
Not these days for sure, but even 5 or 10 years ago that we didn't see that.
Anyway, so Jim Mudcat Grant. So there's a throwback for our older listeners. Might remember that name. But Mudcats is unique. It's 101, and they're doing great things down there, and we wish them the best and recommend to our listeners have an outing. Head down to Chillicothe and watch some ball on a good summer night. I want to thank Kayleigh Campbell for joining us tonight and talking about the upcoming 25th anniversary of the Chillicothe Mudcats season. Thank you for listening to Show Me Sports Legacies.